And if you ever read the Gospels horizontally, where you compare each resurrection account, there seems to be a lot of contradictions, and it's not just an eyewitness
What would those
problem.
contradictions?
Well, for example, I think in Mark, the ladies go to the tomb, and Jesus isn't there, and an angel tells them to go tell the people, but they don't. It just ends, and then something else is added on about snakes. And then Matthew, he goes ballistic and says there's angels and earthquakes and everything at the resurrection. And they tell her to go tell them to go tell the disciples, and they do this time. Luke reins it in a little bit, and he says the stone was already rolled away, and their angel is sitting on the tomb. Or I don't have this exactly correct, but putting those labels on there. So I guess I don't understand why you say they are eyewitness accounts.
Why do I think they're eyewitness accounts?
Right.
Because they contain eyewitness data. Like, for example, the Gospel of John, there are 59 eyewitness details in that document called the Gospel of John that could only have been known by an eyewitness or somebody who knew an eyewitness.
Okay, is it possible that someone could have just been writing a story?
Well, then you'd have to discount all the other evidence that this doesn't appear to be a story. It appears to be a historical account.
From the Bible, right? The Bible is writing about, like Mark is the first gospel that was written. And
probably. Some think Matthew may have been written first. Most scholars say Mark was written first.
Right, but those are ordinary, those are just ordinary circumstances, ordinary things. Those are not hard to believe. When something extraordinary happens, like there's angels and earthquakes and stones rolling away and
but they're not contradictory. You might say, well, I would hope this would be in here. See, here, if he doesn't report an earthquake, that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
It doesn't mean it did.
No, but it's not a contradiction.
Well,
like, for example, if somebody came into this, some reporter came into this room tonight and said, Frank Turek gave a presentation, that would be true. And if somebody else came into this room and said Frank Turek spoke and so did Dr. Ben Gates, that would be true as well. That would be complementary. That would not be contradictory.
Right, but those are ordinary, those are just ordinary circumstances, ordinary things. Those are not hard to believe.
Rachel, think about this. If God exists, if he does, and if the story of Jesus is true, isn't that the greatest news in history?
Oh, not for those going to hell.
Nobody has to go. That's the whole point.
Well, if they're not convinced that what they're reading in the Bible is true.
I said if it was true. Isn't it great news?
I guess. Yeah,
great.
We get to
spend
eternity. And
hey, Rachel, if there's a book back there, just go take it from them.